Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Friday evening. And I really want to thank Ram Madhavji for joining us as well. He's had a very busy day, he always has busy days, but today has also been a very long day for him. So I really appreciate you sparing the time for this conversation.
Thank you. It is actually my pleasure to be here with you in this conversation session now.
Thank you so much, Ram Madhavji. And how difficult was it for you to come for this because you're from a secret organization as per far as Rahul Gandhi is concerned. So I really appreciate the risk you're taking.
You know, we are such a secret organization which holds 60,000 daily shakas in all the playgrounds and parks and, open temple areas and all that. We are so secretive. And, right now we are hosting our very secret meetings in a big school near Sonipat on the highway itself. All those who want to look into the very secretive functioning can just come down. It is just 1.5 hours away from Delhi city. So, but it is true that we are having our national meetings right at the moment. I wondered as I entered this national meeting premises 2 days ago, I thought that everybody would be agitated over this whole tamasha that was going on in the last few days, those allegations from London about secretive nature, etc., etc. To my utter surprise, nobody even remotely talked about it. And when I tried to mention it, everybody was laughing it off. So that means at least this very secretive organization is not taking it seriously.
Well, that's the other interesting thing, Ram Madhavji, is that very rarely, and I do observe what the RSS says, if at all. In fact, I can't even recall any mention of Rahul Gandhi made by by the RSS ever.
You see, we are firstly, RSS is not a political organization. We generally we don't like to be dragged into these kind of political controversies. Rahul Gandhi has had issues with the government of the day. He may be having problems with Modi ji, or government, or the BJP. No reason for him to drag the RSS again and again. Probably whoever the guys around him, whoever are giving him inputs, obviously I know a person like Rahul Gandhi could not have said all these things without somebody helping with notes and everything. But
Hmm.
they also do a very poor job. They unnecessarily then this issue of RSS comes up, and I somehow realized that this man is so obsessed with RSS that probably in his dreams also he only gets the dreams about RSS men and all that. For everything he talks about RSS, I've noticed him in the Bharat Jodo Yatra. He was making lots of
Yes.
negative comments about RSS and etc. So he's so obsessed.
What is the cause of this obsession? Because it's very strange, actually, because he has some, I think in the past, some Swayam Sevaks, one in particular in Maharashtra, has also sued him for defamation when he was like made to go to court and all of those things. So he stays a lot of things that are untruths, and he continues to say them, and he goes to court, and then he kind of retracts for some time, and then he's back again. Is this the overall Congress march to the far left which is influencing him, you think?
It is true that he lies through his teeth, not
Mm.
just about RSS and many issues. For example, his statement that mics are shut in Parliament. It's an utter lie. I mean, it doesn't happen that
Yes.
way. And a member wants to speak, automatically he gets the opportunity to speak. That is how parliaments anywhere in the world function. But this man has this habit of lying and telling all sorts of stories and all that. Uh, why he does that? I mean, knowing about him, obviously I do not know him directly. Knowing about him, I think you should blame these script writers. He's guys who give him inputs. Probably they tell him that you go and attack RSS, so you can at least mobilize some anti-RSS sections. Probably that is the kind of input he gets. Otherwise, had he studied his own grandmothers or his own party's history in earlier association or earlier engagement with the RSS, he would have realized that we have had long ideological differences, no doubt about it. We continue to have differences on issues, on ideology, on questions, but never was there this kind of hatred, this kind of
Yes,
kind of
yes.
very blasphemous type of attacking. Indira Gandhi, for all her criticism of RSS and all that, had finally in 1973, when the then RSS chief, very famous person at the time, continues to be a very famous personality, Guruji Golwalkar, when he passed away, in the parliament, obituary reference was made for Guruji Golwalkar, and in which Indira Gandhi had openly said he was a great person influencing millions of people in the country. We may disagree with him, but we cannot, forget the fact that he commands the respect of millions of Indians. This is the kind of very civil conversation we used to have. But today,
Mm.
unfortunately, we hear lots of, unparliamentary, uncouth kind of things coming from her grandson.
He's coming, and it's you're right. It does tend to be obsessive. I mean, he likened the RSS to the Muslim Brotherhood as well, maybe for his Western audience. But the two organizations couldn't be further away from the truth. I mean, how do you respond to that?
Advaita, very simple. I suggest that Mr. Rahul Gandhi, for a moment, stop depending on his lackeys who supply him all this material to talk rubbish about RSS, and just go to ChatGPT and ask, is there any comparison between RSS and Muslim Brotherhood? ChatGPT says, the artificial intelligence machine says, there is no comparison. Muslim Brotherhood is a political religious movement. RSS is a cultural movement. The knowledge that artificial intelligence machine has, if Rahul Gandhi
Right.
or his comrades do not have, we must we must pity them. I advise that nowadays ChatGPT is available on digital watches, iPhone, Apple watches also. Let him just use it sometimes. And more importantly, I want to make one very serious observation here. What Rahul Gandhi talks many times, even his own party colleagues do not subscribe to it, do not support it. Maybe publicly they may not be coming and saying things, but many people probably do not like his views, his statements about the RSS also. A person of the stature of Pranab Mukherjee, who had lived his entire life as a dedicated, committed congressman, was there at Nagpur to attend a function of the RSS a few years ago. He called the RSS chief a very respected leader of the country. So, even in Congress, people knew the good work that RSS does for the country, for the culture, for our dharma, for our nation's unity. And I'm sure they won't appreciate all these kinds of utter rubbish that comes out from their leader.
And they go immediately into damage control. I've been watching the news for the last week, and the Congress spokespersons are running from pillar to post trying to explain the things he said. For example, this whole narrative of democracy being under danger, and also the RSS taking over all institutions, and why the Americans and why the British, the defenders of democracy, are not intervening. This is absolutely outrageous that he would say something like this on foreign soil, as well as solicit intervention.
Yes, and it is outrageous not only for you and me who follow probably mainstream media, English media. It's outrageous for an ordinary Indian. He feels so insulted, so humiliated that this guy who claims to be the leader of a big party in the country goes and asks America or some other European country to come and help India to retrieve democracy and all. Where in this country democracy is so alive and kicking. But I must tell you
Hmm.
something. We jocularly used to say in BJP, when I was in the BJP, we used to publicly say that BJP has the three great leaders. One is Modi ji, second is Amit Shah, third is Rahul Gandhi. I mean, he is a great strength and great, support for BJP. So naturally, Congress has to go and, do that damage control. I mean, it's a very difficult task for them. But these kind of statements, I'm sure at one level we all feel very bad, agitated. They also damage the the reputation of the party, Congress party, which claims to be a party with more than 100-year history, in fact, 120, 130-year history. I mean, it's a serious problem for Congress that this leader, who was supposed to be a great advantage for them, looks like he's a big liability for them.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you heard about this, but he was, I don't know which interaction it was, but he singled out a Sikh man from the audience and said, "Do you know that you're a second class citizen in India?" or something to that effect. This in the backdrop of, what we're seeing happening in Punjab, what we're seeing in Khalistanis attack temples in Australia and Canada. So has he moved from being silly to being dangerous now?
Oh, yeah, of course, no doubt about his theatricals. I mean, I must tell you, Jawaharlal Nehru used to do that, these kind of theatricals, this kind of stage managed kind of things. And probably
Mm.
he has inherited it from Nehru. So he also does these things. You know, you mentioned about one Sikh gentleman, and he asked him all these, very provocative type of things. Uh,
Mm.
he had some woman in his audience in London who claimed that
Yes.
she comes from an RSS family, and our guys tried to trace the whole thing, and they found that this lady for last 20, I mean, after 2003, she never had any association with her father. She actually was, I mean, she fell apart from her father, her family. She criticized him, attacked him, and in fact, her father passed away in 2011.
Yes.
10, 12 years ago. Now, using such people, and you probably must have seen Rahul Gandhi using her video and tweeting that
Mhm.
video to tell people that, look, this is what RSS people feel. I mean,
Mm.
and in fact, we never know no information about her father having an RSS connection. Also, that apart, he's no more,
Mm.
no longer there. So at least we should be civil, unlike that lady or the guy who is promoting that lady. We should at least be civil in not using a dead man to propagate certain
Mm.
lies. But
Mm.
this is the kind of dangerous behavior we see in him. So
Mm.
country has to think what kind of a leader is he? I mean, you see in that person.
Mm. I mean, some wonder sometimes, is it bitterness at having lost and feeling like you're going to lose yet again? Because by most estimations, the BJP should return to power under Prime Minister Modi. In either case, what is certain is that the Congress is not going to come back. That one can say with surety. So, is it this declining party that he leads? The fact that so many of the young Turks, his team B, have moved to the BJP. We know all of them. And if he has not been able to convince those people who were considered his B team, and the young Turks and dynasts whose parents were in the Congress, and hold on to them, how is he going to make a difference with other people? And these people have joined the BJP knowing fully well that it is influenced by the RSS ideology.
You see, one, of course, is frustration, no doubt about it. Frustration at not being able to make any impact on the Indian political scenario today. Not able to stand up to, of course, it's not easy to stand up to leaders like Modi ji.
Hmm.
But you also please understand that this gentleman has a sense of entitlement. He thinks that he is going to be a great retriever of this country.
Hmm.
Now, my simple question is, what has been his contribution, forget about the country, to Congress party in last 52 years? He thinks that he is Jawaharlal Nehru. He thinks that he is Indira Gandhi. He has not done anything for this country in last 52 years. And forget about country, he has not done anything for his own party. Wherever he went, the party got decimated.
Yes.
But he has this very great sense of entitlement. He thinks that through Bharat Jodo Yatra, he is uniting India. No, anybody can undertake yatras. Nobody. It is a free country. It's a country of yatras. Of course, people are very fond of
Hmm.
yatras. He undertook his own yatra. But this whole idea that I am uniting the country, how? What is that locus standi?
Hmm.
Have you made a great sacrifice? Have you built any big institution? You have not done anything. At 52
Hmm.
also, you do not have anything in your report card, except, of course, the sacrifices of your father, your grandmother, and all that. So,
Yeah.
at one level is frustration, but another level, the sense of entitlement which comes to feudals. This
Hmm.
feudalist entitlement, sense of entitlement, if I am not there, democracy is in danger. That's the whole
Hmm.
argument. And in
Yes.
this
Yes.
country, I mean, remember in this country, in 15 big states, opposition parties are in power. Of course, country solidly is behind Modi ji at the national level, but in states, state after state, there are parties winning. But they have to ask if democracy is not there, how is Mamata Banerjee winning? Or how is some other person in Kerala and Tamil Nadu and even his own party people in Rajasthan and Himachal Pradesh, how have they won elections if India is not a democracy? But his whole
Hmm.
argument is, if I am not winning, if I can't win, then there is no democracy. This is the sense of entitlement and feudalism.
Uh, Ramadhavji, you of course keep a lot of contact with the Northeast, and you must have seen the recent election results. Even in states that are predominantly, minority dominated, Christian dominated in this case, the Congress has been rejected completely. So they're not even resonating with minorities, despite going out there and saying we are the protector of minorities, etc., etc.
Of the three states that went to polls last month, I mean, recently, in two states, Congress was decimated in last election itself. One was Nagaland, the other was Tripura. In both the states, as the BJP rose, because I was handling the affairs of these states at the time,
Hmm.
we saw Congress getting completely decimated.
Hmm.
What happened after that in the last 4 years under the stewardship of the great Mr. Rahul Gandhi was that in states like Assam also, where Congress had some strength in 2016 election, they still had more than 35 seats. Today came down to around 10, 12 seats. And
Hmm.
the worst is now in Meghalaya. In Meghalaya, in the last election, although we managed to form a coalition government with Conrad as the chief minister, Congress was originally the single largest party in the state. But they could not get muster enough seats in the state to form the government. Second largest
Hmm.
party, NPP, and then Conrad formed the government. Today, Congress has been reduced to single digit in Meghalaya also. So that is precisely what is happening across the country, and without realizing that he is losing ground with every such foolish statement, he goes to town talking about things and presenting to the international audience as though he is going to be the retriever of India, he is going to be the redeemer of India, he is going to redeem India from this morass or whatever he thinks.
Hmm.
But he must
And the
first of all,
other
sorry,
Yeah.
yeah.
The other thing that keeps coming up, Ram Madhavji, is this MOU they've signed with CCP. And nobody wants to reveal in the Congress what this MOU with the Chinese Communist Party is. And recently in Canada also, we're seeing a lot of things coming up about Trudeau, another dynast, another person who has a very similar trajectory to that of Rahul Gandhi, having some sort of association with China. I don't want to wade into the area of conspiracy theory, but in London also, Rahul Gandhi was going on about how Chinese love harmony and how, unlike the US, explaining it, that they don't believe in individual freedoms because they've gone through civil war and the culture wars, etc., etc. So, almost like an apologist for China and its authoritarian regime. What is going on here?
Uh, it is very unfortunate that at this juncture, Rahul Gandhi trying to show sympathy for China when the whole country, the mood of the country is that China is actually violating our sovereignty, is posing a very serious challenge to countries' integrity, countries' territorial sovereignty. In such a situation, Rahul Gandhi trying to project himself as a little sympathetic to China definitely ruffles many feathers, definitely disturbs many Indians. There's no doubt about it. On
Hmm.
CCP, I would only be a little cautious in the sense that, of course, if they have entered into that agreement with the CCP, they should disclose it. What is it in that agreement MOU that they have signed with CCP? This I'm saying for an important reason, Advaita. I'm saying this for the first time because I
Hmm.
was I was privy to this whole thing. The CCP wanted a similar MOU with BJP also.
Hmm.
In fact, they submitted the draft to us. And
Oh.
I must credit the political maturity and wisdom of the then president of the party, Mr. Amit Shah, that
Hmm.
he explicitly said to us that no, we, while okay as party and party, we may meet. Parties, when you come together, come across each other, you meet, you greet. But to
Hmm.
enter into an MOU with a party with which we do not have anything ideologically, anything that brings us together, it's just not acceptable. So he took a very firm view, and BJP then said, no, we can't have any MOU with you. But then why would Congress, why did it have it? The Congress should explain probably.
No, they must, because and then him going to China, I mean going to the UK and speaking about China, and as a people they love harmony and all. It's all very strange considering how they've been behaving on the border, how they've been behaving in the China Sea, all of those things. It's very very strange. But Mr.
You know,
Ramadhav, do
there is
you?
a that is an important challenge for us. You know, on issues like this, at least there should be a national consensus on issues like China, on issues like Pakistan. It cannot be a partisan issue. You should not try to win some brownie points over China. You do it on
Hmm.
other issues. I don't mind, we don't mind. Politics happens. But you can't do that on issues like China, on issues like Pakistan, on which there should be a national consensus. And luckily, in the country, there is near unanimity, near consensus in the country over these challenges. Unfortunately, Mr. Rahul Gandhi is so cut off from the grassroots public sentiment that he utters such kind of statements.
No, it's absolutely something that he has to think about, or his advisors, like you said. Although a lot of people say that he doesn't listen to anybody, so I don't know what is fake and what is true when it comes to him. But Ramadhavji, going abroad and speaking like this. What do you make of this? There's a story about Indira Gandhi being in London at the time and being asked a question about something to do with India and opposition. I can't quite recall exactly what it was, but she refused to comment at that point. Why doesn't he get the memo on this?
Oh, yes. You see, that is why I said he lacks that, you call it political maturity or sagacity, you call it. He lacks that. Yes,
Hmm.
it's true that there was that Indira Gandhi related incident anecdote which was mentioned to him, to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, by one of his audience in London. They said, "You
Hmm.
please do this kind of statement baji here. Don't insult India. Don't demean Indian democracy. Your grandmother never did it. She
Hmm.
said, I won't say anything negative about my country when I'm on the foreign soil." So were many others, including I knew about even Vajpayee and others. They never said anything against
Hmm.
the country, against its institutions, against its systems. But unfortunately, Mr. Rahul Gandhi thinks that this is all a part of his politics. This is not politics. This is actually, uh, in any other country, it is considered as treason. You humiliate your country,
Yeah.
insult your country on a foreign soil.
And you will never have, be it the Democrats or the Republicans in America, coming to India and talking about racist incidents and racist violence and mass gun shootings in another country. They'll debate it in their Senate and in the media in America, but they'll never come to India and say, "Oh my God, the mass shootings in India, in America are crazy," etc., etc. Is it a lack of political maturity on his part? Or is he just getting very bitter now, where he feels the need to just attack everybody who he feels is the other?
You see, there is a constituency that is propping him up. He must realize that that constituency has no base in India, of course, first of all. Secondly, they are all enemies of India. Those who prop him up, he comes probably under that sway of those people. He comes under the influence of those people and starts talking about all these things. I mean, you have seen one of the organizers seem to be a guy from Pakistan. I mean, I'm not saying a Pakistani person should not host any event in which you cannot speak. I'm not saying that, but you should not come under the influence of those people and start
Yeah.
rubbishing your country and making such a very blasphemous type of statements about the country and its democracy, its parliament. Nobody
Hmm.
does it. No country leaders of at least that seniority never
Hmm.
do such things. It's
No
of course,
one.
no, it's of course lack of maturity. Yeah, of course, lack of the political understanding also.
I That's the thing I don't understand. Just from what so much has been going on with George Soros and his comment that Modi is getting weak and democracy is going to be reinvigorated or something, revitalized or something in India, and the kind of outrage it caused here. He's seeing all this happen around him, and yet he's singing from the same playbook and refusing to change course. What do you make of this? Even New York Times, the latest editorial, which is actually written by someone who holds very anti views, has come out again. Then we saw the BBC documentary, we saw the DW documentary in January, which predicted riots in India. So it almost feels like they're setting ground, and there's an international kind of conglomeration or conclave that is coming together and acting out certain things. And it seems very, very, no, I don't even want to use toolkit because I think it's bigger than that at this point.
See, today, the kind of awakening that one finds in India, the very strong, patriotic, uh, a sort of cultural revival that is witnessed in India, is something that some forces inimical to India's rise, they
Hmm.
are unable to digest. It is those forces which are coming together and trying to harm India and its interests from outside. Because within the country they do not have any taker, any base, any support
Hmm.
base in India, in this country. So they are using their strength outside, their institutional support that they get in universities or media, foreign media, and all that. So they are trying to gang up and try to attack India from outside. I don't think it will really damage India so much as long as it is a New York Times or a BBC trying to do it from outside. But if a Rahul Gandhi joins them and if he joins in that chorus, then it is
Hmm.
definitely going to cause some definite embarrassment and definite problem to this country.
Hmm.
In early days of our independence, Indian communists used to do the same thing. They wrote a memo to Mao in 1949, inviting Mao to come to India to liberate India. Mr. Rahul Gandhi's great grandfather was the prime minister at that time. I mean, Rahul Gandhi doesn't read, and I mean, we call some of these leaders as knowledge proof. They don't like waterproof watches, they are knowledge proof leaders. We can't help. They appealed to Mao that Mao should come. This was in 1949 and liberate India. India was liberated in 1947 from British rule. And Congress used to attack communists for this one statement, this one letter that they wrote. Now the same thing Mr. Rahul Gandhi is doing. He is asking America and Europe to come and anoint him as Prime Minister of India, not realizing that India's Prime Minister is not made in America or London.
That's the strange part, if he's I think, I frankly think that the left has taken over the Congress, and a lot of Congress people, Ramadhanji, if you speak to them off the record, they'll tell you that they're very, very uncomfortable. For example, a lot of the Congress people in Kerala just dislike this kind of leaning, this leftist leaning, and this cozy club he has with Sitaram Yachuri in Delhi. And there's a complete disconnect with the cadre.
Unfortunately, Congress people do realize that probably this man is taking him through a a homicidal path, a suicide path. But their problem is, without these dynasts, that party cannot survive. So
Hmm.
this party, the only glue that keeps it together is this dynasty. So
Correct.
they can neither chew this or nor spit it. It's their problem. We should pity, and I sometimes feel that with people like Rahul Gandhi, BJP doesn't need any better adversary, and people like Rahul Gandhi, Congress doesn't need any enemy.
Yes. Yes. Ramadhaji, I mean, I'm going a little off topic here, but I'm sure you're seeing what's happening in Pakistan, and it's on the verge of an economic collapse. It's already happening. There's food shortages. There's all kinds of things going on. Sushant Sareen, a good friend of mine, who also comes on this channel a lot. I was watching his show earlier today on YouTube, and he was talking about how it's not like the immediate future, but it's not out of the question that Pakistan might break up as well. Have you been following this at any point? What's happening there across the border?
See, of course, the economic collapse is, of course, an imminent thing that we all are following. We are very closely watching. But one more thing that we all must closely watch is the rise of terrorism in that country. The
Hmm.
levels of terrorism today, together with economic collapse, the rise of terrorism, that specter is going to be a really horrifying specter for all the neighbors. I'm not just talking about India alone. In fact,
Hmm.
Pakistan's terrorism is a global nuisance, not just a nuisance for its neighbors. It has become a global nuisance today. Pakistan is getting torn apart from within. Of course, economically it's collapsing, but the internal strife is so intense. These groups like Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan,
Hmm.
created in Afghanistan originally by fellows
Yes.
in Pakistan itself, they have today become such a big danger and challenge for Pakistan that Pakistan is passing through one of its worst phases. Now, what will happen eventually is, of course, nobody can predict about it now. But yes, it's going to be a very dangerous scenario for Pakistan. But when we talk about, the and dismemberment of Pakistan and all, we must remember one thing, that unlike Bangladesh, which was formed on the basis of Bengali nationalism, today's
Hmm.
Pakistan, if it is split into three or four or whatever happens, we do not know. We do not wish ill of any country. But
Hmm.
if such a thing happens, we cannot rule out the possibility of we having, instead of one Pakistan, maybe three Pakistans.
Yeah.
Th-
Definitely.
that danger is also there. So Pakistan, first of all, it has to manage its economy, but more importantly, it has to manage its terror infrastructure, terror challenge that it is facing today.
Hmm. There have been some shootouts and things like that of some terrorist organization leaders. It's very interesting. I think there have been three that have been killed in these sort of what looks like hit jobs, like they've been taken out of the equation, so to speak, in Pakistan. But scary times for them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are, for Pakistan, it has got its own terrorists, and some terrorists it doesn't like. Today, TTP
Hmm.
it doesn't like. So maybe some TTP fellows will be taken off. But their own Lashkar-e-Taiba, all these terrorists are being safely protected, safeguarded in their cities, Bahawalpur, etc., etc. They are all sitting there. UN designated terrorists are all being taken care of, protected by Pakistani army.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know,
Well, I think a lot
Pakistan is
of
one country that has more than 25 UN proscribed terrorist outfits. More than 125 UN proscribed terrorists are active in Pakistan. That is Pakistan in terms of terrorism.
Hmm, hmm. And even, I mean, referring back, like you said very correctly, it could be three Pakistans. We don't know what the configuration will be, because even though we look at Balochistan as one space, there's a Pashtun population and then there's the other population which live very separate lives. So you don't know how they're going to split. That's absolutely correct. I think the nuclear question is also one that hangs in the air when it comes to Pakistan. And Ram Madhavji, this international propaganda, really my final question for you before I let you go, is this international propaganda that is going on. What is the best response to that? And sometimes, supporters of the BJP and of the Sangh, sometimes there's frustration that there isn't a response that is adequate, especially when it comes to the Sangh. In fact, one of our viewers has even asked this question that says, why doesn't the RSS have a legal department and push for defamation charges? A lot of these lies really need to be handled.
Of course, some of the Swayamsevaks have already filed defamation cases against Mr. Rahul Gandhi for his utterances. And one case is actually active in Maharashtra. He is trying to evade personal appearance in the court. So
Mhm.
that kind of legal action is also being taken by Swayamsevaks occasionally. But you can't keep on filing cases if somebody becomes so insensitive and so shameless.
Mhm.
But the bigger point is, yes, is it really leading to building a kind of a negative narrative about the RSS? Maybe not in the country, because in the country people see RSS with their own eyes, so they won't be influenced by this kind of propaganda, because this propaganda is not new in India. People have seen us, people see us on a day-to-day basis, so they know what RSS stands for, what RSS is all about. But yes, it does cause a kind of a narrative challenge for us abroad. Probably that is the objective of Mr. Rahul Gandhi also. I cannot do anything to them in India. Let me defame them globally. So there we need to take certain proactive steps. In fact, in our meetings here, we are discussing about how to
Mhm.
tackle this kind of propaganda that is going on. This is more of a narrative war. We realize it's not about real
Mhm.
number, real strength. Those who love RSS probably can be there anywhere in the world, not just in India. They are there in large numbers in India, but they can be there anywhere in the world. But the narrative that the way we need to counter these allegations, for example, this whole comparison between RSS and Muslim Brotherhood, it's such a very blasphemous type of comparison. That
It's
Muslim Brotherhood,
sinister.
a very sinister type of thing, also to
Mhm.
earlier they used to call us Hitlerian, Nazi, and all that. Now comparing with Muslim Brotherhood organization like Muslim Brotherhood, it's a very sinister and diabolical type of design. So that needs to be tackled. We are seized of it. We will try and tackle it internationally also.
Hmm. I know that's very important. And one of our others viewers asked, are there Swayam Sevaks in the Congress? I think there certainly are, but they probably don't have the freedom to express that. On the other hand, ex-congressmen have all the freedom to be who they've been and be in the BJP. I think that says a lot.
You see, about whether there are RSS people in Congress or not. On a lighter note, let me tell you one very interesting anecdote. In 1993, Mr. Arjun Singh resigned from Congress because of his differences with Mr. Narasimha Rao. Narasimha Rao was the prime minister. In his press conference, in one of his press conferences, Arjun Singh accused Narasimha Rao of wearing a chetty under his dhoti. Chetty
Hmm.
meaning the RSS knicker.
Nigger, yes.
So Narasimha Rao was accused then Congress leader that probably he was a closet RSS man and all that. And so these kind of
Yes.
things that Congress people used to themselves say. But again, on a serious note, RSS is a movement which is social and cultural in nature. So it has many admirers. They can be in any political party, and we find them in many parties, not just in BJP, in many parties. And you
Mhm.
are also right. Today, many those who love this country, this culture, this dharma, are today gravitating towards BJP also. They are coming from
Mhm.
Congress. They are coming from many other parties also.
Correct. And I think Teja is one of our regular viewers. He's saying RSS should have chapters in other countries. They do have, especially where there are a number of expats. I'm in the US and I tried to join a local RSS chapter, but I was told there isn't one. There is
No,
HSS from what I know.
RSS doesn't operate outside India. RSS main mission is to strengthen this country, strengthen Bharat. So RSS activity is only in India. But some of the RSS members who have migrated to other countries have started
Hmm.
activities locally for the community, for the Indian community, through temples, through other cultural activities. There are different organizations, like HSC is an independent organization, nothing to do with RSS, but it's an organization active in America. There are organizations like Sanatan Dharma Sangha, different names. But RSS per se operates only in India. Its mission, its activity, everything is limited to India only.
Okay. I don't know if you want to address this. I mean, it's a political question, so it's about Andhra Pradesh and why I guess we means BJP. So, I'm not sure you want to answer that one, but I
Let's
think
talk.
that'll also change. Yes, I think there's a lot going on, and I think that will also change. And Ram Madhavji, thank you so much for joining us, for sparing the time, and I really appreciate it. I hope you'll come back to the channel whenever you have the time to discuss other matters of national importance. And really looking forward to having you on more often and to get your perspective on these very important issues. I think going forward, I just want to ask you this from a personal point of view, because just as an observer of politics and the media, domestic and international, I feel that we're in for some dangerous times till the 2024 elections. Am I being paranoid, or do you think we should be careful?
Uh, in politics, I mean, when I was in the party, we used to say that every election is a challenge. One should look at it like that. Today, there is no doubt that Prime Minister Modi is the, I mean, massively popular leader of the country. As long as he's there, probably BJP's poll prospects will never get affected. Never, they will never have any major challenge from any opposition. But as a government, if we are talking, yes, every election is important. BJP has to be always proactive. In that, BJP is always proactive. But the larger question of country, yes, there are many forces today. They are out to not just attack this government, but to actually attack this country. Now, this
Yes.
whole new discourse about caste in the West, it is
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
not just about concern for those who are discriminated against. That concern we also share. In fact, we tell our NRI friends that Ambedkar used to say that wherever Hindus go, caste follows. He used to say that. I We tell our NRI friends that, do you really behave like that? If you are doing that, you should first of all introspect.
Hmm.
This discriminatory approach on the basis of caste should not be allowed. At least, of course, in India it is a crime. You cannot do that. But if it is happening in other countries, it should be, Indians there should really work towards removing such kind of a scourge. But if that is used to defame
Hmm.
the entire religion, entire Hindu society, should we allow that to happen? But today that is happening. Today there are resolutions, there are council resolutions, this and that happening in city after city. It's happening by
Yes.
a design.
Correct. Correct.
The design is now, there was this event last year called Dismantling Hindutva. It was a failed event. There was a lot of propaganda initially, but ultimately it was a damn script. But if you listen to the speeches there, these speeches, many speakers said, it's not just dismantling Hindutva that is what is needed. We need to dismantle Hinduism itself.
Yes.
They say not just
Yes. Yes.
Hindutva,
Hmm.
open statement that we should destroy Hinduism. So there
Hmm.
is a sinister campaign going on by certain forces inimical to this dharma, this culture, this country. They are very active. But the tragedy is people like Rahul Gandhi
Hmm.
become, useful idiots for them.
Correct.
They
Correct.
use statements to propagate against India, work against India. They are actually becoming tools in the hands of such anti-India forces, or these days, breaking India forces and all that.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a real challenge that we should always be guarding ourselves against.
One, I spoke to an NRI gentleman, in fact, and he was telling me that we need to push back a little bit about this caste, about this, caste narrative that is picking up in the US, and explain the difference between caste and varna. Do you think that's the right way to go, or will that just kind of complicate an already very complicated issue?
See, both efforts should happen. Firstly, let me admit here that there are caste groups also outside India.
Hmm.
Caste-based organizations also exist outside India. So if we pretend that there is no caste outside India, we are we are not doing justice. But
Hmm.
what is important is that kind of an activity leading to real caste-based discrimination in those countries? If the discrimination is really happening, it is the duty of the Indians living abroad, the NRIs, to make sure that such a discrimination doesn't happen. People form associations on different kinds of basis, like
Hmm.
language, other things. They form basis, but that should not be a basis for discriminating against fellow citizens. But the
Hmm.
bigger point on which they should certainly fight back is it should not be allowed to discredit Hinduism, damage the reputation of the country, of the religion, and there are enough laws in America that can
Hmm.
be invoked against any form of discrimination. If there is some kind of a discrimination felt by an individual, those laws can be invoked. So we should actively support people who are facing discrimination or feeling discriminated.
Hmm.
But at the same time, we have to ensure that the larger image of the country, culture, dharma, Hinduism as a way of life, view of life, should not be damaged.
Hmm.
It's a dual responsibility.
And how significant do you think it was Prime Minister bringing up with the Australian PM the incident of in Brisbane where Khalistanis attacked temples and things like that? It's quite a new thing, right? We've not heard that before.
Yes, it's quite heartening for all of us that Prime Minister not only took it up with the visiting dignitary, but he tweeted about it to inform
Mm.
everybody that such things need to be highlighted, uh, which is really quite heartening for all of us. Uh, the Khalistani activities, even majority of the Sikhs do not support it, do not subscribe to those activities. I travel to many countries, like some of my colleagues also. Many Sikhs go to such temples. They of course go to gurudwaras, but also go to those temples on Diwali, on some other Ram Navami occasions like that. They visit temples also. This kind of enmity doesn't exist between Hindus and
Mm.
Sikhs,
Mm.
two religions but living in perfect harmony. But there are forces like these Khalistani elements which are trying to create disharmony in the Indian community on the basis, of course, like in America and other countries, on the basis of course, there's an effort going on. But in countries like Australia and Canada and other places, even this effort to create a wedge between Hindus and Sikhs in the name of religion, also using temples, defamation, I mean, this damaging temple properties and all. So it is very good that Prime Minister took it up to highlight that this is a conspiracy, not just against any particular group, but against the whole country. A country which
Mm.
has always prided itself over its multi-religious, linguistic, multi-ethnic composition and great unity.
Right. Ram Madhavji, I've stretched this to 50 minutes and I promised you half an hour, so I'm going to call it an end now. But I do hope you'll come back and at another time and discuss other issues. It was really a pleasure to hear from you, and I know our viewers really enjoyed it also. Lots of questions, but I'm going to get to them the next time you're here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a wonderful discussion. I want to thank you also for this discussion. Namaskar.
Namaskar.